Hello, everybody. I am DJ Leandro. Welcome back to the DJ Leandro Music YouTube channel. And in this video, I'm going to show you some nice, cool tips and tricks on how you can beef up your piano sounds within your tracks to make them sound more human, not so robotic and still, as well as to make them sound more warm and give them more presence within your mixes. Okay, so as you can see here, I have a MIDI chord progression. So let's have a listen to that now. Okay, so that is our chord progression, as I'm sure, and as you heard, it sounds very dull, very robotic. There's nothing really nice about it with regards to how the chord structure is being played. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to double click on your MIDI, and to make it sound more human, what we're going to do is we're going to cut and shorten and move our notes around. This is going to give them a bit of a human feel to it. So we're going to do this now with all our notes that we have played. So we'll just move them a little bit like this. Bring these a little bit back. Okay, now let's have a listen. Perfect, sounds much better. Now, instead of sitting and cutting each of these notes, especially if you've got like a 4-bar, 8-bar loop for a chord progression, something very, very simple that you can do is, we're going to go back to our main project window. And then over here, where we have our MIDI, you're going to click on MIDI modifiers. You're going to go here where it says random target. You will click here. You'll click position. And this is going to change the max and minimum value position of the notes that you have played randomly. So we're going to just, for argument's sake, we'll make this 14. And then here we'll make this -5. And we'll click enter. And now let's have a listen. There we go. Now it sounds more like a human being actually played it. Another thing that you can do is we can actually change the velocity of the notes being played. As you can see at the bottom here, this is where we can find our velocity for each of the notes. They are all being played at the same velocity. If you can't find it, you'll just click here and then you'll find your velocity option and you'll tap. And if you want to change the velocity of each of the notes, you'll just click a note and then your pen tool will come up and you can just change, increase, or drop the velocity. If you want to do multiple tracks, multiple notes, you'll just highlight. And again, we'll just draw in there. And we can even do this here. We'll say we want to bring this a bit higher. And these two we can bring a little bit lower. You can also use this, as you can see, as I've highlighted those two. Then if we hover just above it, when it gives me this little down arrow, we can bring these down together as is. So just have a listen now. And there, and you can change however you feel according to what you want within your chord structure. Okay, so now that we're done with the MIDI part, we're now going to focus on a audio chord progression that I have here over piano. So let's have a listen to this now. Okay, that is what we're working with now in this example. Let's now bring up frequency, and we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you your EQ range within your piano. Okay, so with regards to your EQ on piano, the warmth section of the piano is usually between 100 and 500 hertz. This is where the body of the track usually is. Your MIDI section is usually round about here between 3 and 400. So again, you don't want this to clash with, let's say for argument's sake, any snare or percussion drums, which are also occupying these frequencies here. To add more presence or brightness, as I like to call it, it's basically between 2 and 5 kilohertz. And to add air to your piano, it's usually after 5 kilohertz, so we can give a boost there if you want to add some air, that nice airy sound within your piano. So let's have a listen now, and we can see how we're going to work with our EQ. As you can hear here, I personally would cut this off, make some space for our bass and kick. Let's add some presence now. Let's hear out sounds a bit of air. Let's hear how it sounds if we add a bit of body. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's have a listen now with it off. Okay, now on. There we go, now stands out a little bit more. And then another thing we can do is we can add some nice reverb. Two options to do with the reverb. You can add it directly to the channel here as an insert, but personally I would prefer adding it as a send effect. Send effect, basically what it means is that it will play the signal of the track first and then the reverb will be being played. In other words, the reverb will be behind the piano, whereas here it's going to be on top of the piano together. So in order to add a send effect here, very simple. We'll go back to our project window. We'll right-click, add effect track. You'll find your reverb that you want. In this case, I'm using Realm, and we're going to call this reverb. You'll click add track. And then here, you're going to find your FX track as it says here. And then we're going to go back to our piano. You'll click the edit channel settings. And then here where it says send, we'll click, and you'll find the option of our effect channel that we created, which is called reverb. And then automatically it is off. To turn it on, you're going to click this. And then now, let me just unmute that. Now, when the piano is being played, you're going to hear the reverb. And the nice thing is we can adjust the volume according to the reverb. And we can adjust our reverb settings. Off. There we go. Sounds amazing with a nice little reverb. With regards to reverb options, if you don't have Realm or any third party within Cubase, I recommend sticking to either a plate reverb or a hall reverb with that. What we can also do is we can add a little bit of delay. A delay I like to put as a insert effect. So let's use our replica. I'm going to bring this a little bit down. Now let's have a listen. Again, this is subjective, what you like. Again, it adds a bit of more room into your mix. Okay, another thing that you can do, Cubase has got an absolutely awesome plugin called Stereo Enhancer, which is going to enhance the stereo width of any track that you want. And for a piano, it sounds amazing. So we're going to search for Stereo Enhancer. We'll click there. And as you can see, it's such a simple tool. This is it, as you can see here. I'll play it now so you can have a listen. And I'm going to adjust the settings. This is now dead center, more of a mono signal. And as I bring it up, it's going to sound wider. That's it. Sounds great as it is. Now, with regards to compression and piano, personally for me, I don't use compression on piano and on my pianos, and I'll tell you why. Reason is because basically when we adjust the velocity as we did within our MIDI here, technically that we are in a way adjusting the volume and the transient of each of the tracks as they are being played. Sorry, each of the notes as they're being played. And if you want to, let's say, if we drop the lower end notes, we drop the velocity to make them sound not so present. What we're going to do is if we compress it afterwards, it's actually going to bring those sounds up that we originally didn't want. And I don't think it really adds a lot of humanness to your piano. So, if my personal opinion, I wouldn't. And if you are going to use a compressor, use it very subtly. You don't want to use too much of it. Another thing that we can do, if you want, we can add a little bit of saturation. Again, use it very, very subtly. Don't use too much of it, if I'm being honest, because we don't want to over saturate the transient because we've already increased some frequencies. But again, you can add a little bit to this. I'm going to just find one of my favorites. Let's see. Let's go to Dirt. There we go. Maybe just a little bit of saturation. Okay, now we've got everything playing. I'm going to turn them all off. Okay, now we'll turn everything on. And there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm sure with these tips, it's going to help you add more presence to your pianos within your mixes. Thank you so much for tuning into the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you.